how is it going, Trailblazers? So I know you guys clicked on this video because you're very excited about HSR characters that we're going to see in future patches like the upcoming MORTENAX Blade and HIMEKO SP. So in this video, I am going to cover all of the new information that we got about them. This will include new details that we got today about MORTENAX Blade's potential role and playstyle. And along with this, we're also going to discuss HIMEKO SP's rumored kit as well. But before we move on, let me just give a quick disclaimer that everything discussed here is subject to change. So please take everything mentioned in this video with a grain of salt. Alright, starting off with MORTENAX Blade first. So many of you guys may already know through the new 4.3 drip marketing that Blade's new form is confirmed to be a fire-type unit that follows the path of nihility. Well, now we have even more information about him, including details about his gameplay role and kit mechanics. As according to a new post from a very reliable leaker named Mortis, MORTENAX Blade, or Blade SP, is mainly said to play the role of a support unit, with the core of his kit seeming to revolve around deploying a zone that reduces enemy attributes or stats. This support style basically makes him a reverse version of Tribi, where instead of making enemies take increased damage within the zone, MORTENAX Blade's deployed zone instead reduces the enemy's damage resistance instead. On top of the support role, he isn't purely passive either. The info mentions that he can release an AoE follow-up attack, which scales based on a percentage of his max HP similar to his base form, essentially making him basically a hybrid version of both Tribi and base form Blade. Putting all of that together, MORTENAX Blade's kit sounds like it's designed around team-wide efficiency rather than raw personal damage. He weakens enemies through his zone, supports a broad range of DPS characters without locking into niche synergy, and adds his own AoE follow-up damage that scales with HP, making him durable while still impactful. If this information holds true, he's shaping up to be the kind of support that fits into multiple teams and stays valuable long-term, especially for players who want one character that can slot into many different DPS setups without needing constant replacements. Moving on, let's now talk about the info we got about HIMEKO SP. So according to info from a new source, HIMEKO SP functions as a damage-enabling support DPS built around applying marks and turning enemies into long-term damage targets rather than relying on short burst windows. Her skill applies a burn mark that increases the damage enemies take, especially when they are delayed or slowed. The important part of this isn't just the damage increase itself, but how often it can trigger. In teams with Welt, enemies are constantly being delayed, which means her mark keeps activating repeatedly instead of being a one-time bonus. That turns control effects into steady damage pressure instead of just defensive utility. Her ultimate creates an ignition field that deals AoE fire damage and applies stacking vulnerability to enemies inside it. The strength of this ability comes from how it ramps over time. Instead of giving a single burst buff, it gradually increases team damage the longer enemies remain inside the field. That makes her especially valuable in longer fights, where sustained damage matters more than quick bursts. She also restores skill points whenever allies deal enough damage to marked enemies. This becomes extremely important in teams that rely on maintaining steady rotations without slowing down. In teams with Dan Heng, Permancer Terai, this helps stabilize the team's flow, since his kit focuses on shielding and protecting allies, allowing fights to last longer and giving SP HIMEKO more time to generate value from her marks and field effects. Her follow-up attack triggers when marked enemies are hit multiple times, adding AoE fire damage in the background. This gives her consistent damage output without needing constant turns, and it rewards teams that attack frequently rather than relying on single heavy hits. Overall, HIMEKO SP design is clearly aimed at shifting value away from upfront damage and toward controlled compounding advantage over time. What stands out most is how deliberately she rewards patience and structured team rotations rather than explosive pacing. She fits best in teams that are already built to sustain combat flow, because her value grows the longer the encounter stays stable and uninterrupted. In faster burst-oriented setups, she loses a lot of her impact, but in extended fights, she becomes increasingly efficient without needing additional investment mid-combat. Overall, she feels less like a traditional damage dealer and more like a pressure amplifier, someone who doesn't dominate the screen immediately, but gradually tilts the entire fight in your favor as the battle progresses. So that's pretty much all of the current information that I have for this video. If you found the info in this video helpful, feel free to give it a like, and also don't forget to subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with all the latest Honkai Star Rail news, character guides, and analysis. That's it for now, so I'll be seeing you guys in the next video.